Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
Oh wait, that's me. I'm Ben.
It's been a while, Ben. How you doing? And John.
And Zach.
Yes.
I remember my line.
Yeah, Ben, it's been a little while for you. It's been a while for Zach, but it's been a while for Ben too. Obviously you forgot your cue.
Well, we are pulling out all the stops because a movie as good as this, we needed extra help here, and we got it in spades.
Wait, John, are you saying you actually liked a movie?
That wouldn't be the first time.
I'm so excited to discuss this.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Premature again. Story of my life. Anyway, sorry guys, go on.
So Zach, welcome back to the show. You haven't been on in a while.
Indeed, thank you. Glad to be back.
And do you have anything interesting that's happened to you since the last time you've been on that maybe you'd want to share with the audience?
A couple cool things. I quit my soul-crushing sales job so I can write for a living, and it's actually working out. So I'm
But
writing
how are you going to get your soul crushed now?
I'm going to have to find other ways. I'm going to have to be creative about this. Maybe
Well,
go out.
But that's easy. You're going to write. You're going to put a book out or something, and then people will then comment, and there's your soul crush right there.
There it is. Yes.
That's what the internet's
in fact, I've been avoiding comments, but I'm sure I can check in tomorrow and have my soul crushed immediately if I so choose. So yeah, don't worry. That's still an option. It's on the table.
Yeah, just remember, if you want your soul crushed, perfectly, you got to either post it to 4chan or Reddit.
Yes, I hear tell of that, which is why I have stayed far away from those sites.
And
I actually like Reddit.
Speaking of sites, aren't you also writing for a website now?
I am, yes. I'm writing for ranker.com. It's a listicle site, and I am one of their, quote, nerd writers, and proud to be. I'm also writing for a website called thelatest.com. So, a couple different ones, which is cool. Cool beans.
Cool. Yeah. So
I regret saying that already.
So you have some better nerd cred than us right now.
Well, I don't know about that, my good man.
You're actually doing it for a living.
Well, it's not a great living, if that's any consolation.
But we're still getting our
I did get to eat today, though. That's cool.
You got what?
Yep. You got food.
Yes.
Oh, food is good. Ramen noodles counts, right?
Yes.
Indeed it does. I hope it does, yes.
And of course, Ben's back. He's been gone for a little while.
What about my back? Oh, yeah.
We missed you greatly. We're glad you're back for this one. And,
I'm glad to be back for this one.
And
mostly because I'm looking forward to disagreeing with John on things.
Oh, good. Yes. So we're here, obviously. We're obviously here to review one of the biggest movies to come out in a long time. And, of course, that's Fate of the Furious. So I hope you guys all saw it this weekend.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's not... We're talking about Samurai Jack, the 6th season, or 5th season. Come on.
I don't care if we're talking about Fuller House. As long as it's not Fate of the Furious, I'm going to be mollified.
Hey, we love things with Vin Diesel around here.
Well, we love some things with Vin Diesel. Let's not get carried away.
Oh, okay.
Not when, especially when it's not his face and just his computer voice.
Oh, so we're talking about Iron Giant. Got it.
Exactly. Good. We're all on the same page.
Though it is interesting, right? The movie to knock Fate of the Furious starring Vin Diesel off the top is another movie with starring Vin Diesel.
That's how he likes it.
Yes. But of course, we're here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And before we get into it, as always, boys and girls, there will be spoilers. So you've been warned.
Many spoilers.
Yes. But hey, let's try to do this. So we've been trying to do this with all of our reviews lately. Let's go around the table and real quick give a non-spoiler reaction to the movie. And we'll start, of course, with Zach.
Non-spoiler. Okay. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was as good as the first, certainly, probably better, especially given my very strong emotional reaction to the film, which we'll probably get into later. But yeah, I'm baffled that it has an 82 on Rotten Tomatoes. That makes no sense. It should be 182, but fine, whatever. RT, kiss my grits. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
All right. How about you, Ben?
Well, I mean, where to start tearing it apart? There's no way really. No, I thought it was really good. I was really surprised when they killed everyone. But oh wait, spoiler free. I'm sorry. No, I thought it was definitely a great continuation of the story. I loved what James Gunn did with the story. I think there was good character growth. There was good. Nobody was flat. It was really, really well executed, and a lot of humor. And great for all audiences.
All right. How about our resident curmudgeon?
I just went.
All right. Let's see. What can I say about this? It had plot holes you could drive a truck through. It had a romance between two characters you would not have picked to have had a romance with. It had some continuity problems with the first movie, and after all that, I didn't care a bit because this movie was awesome.
I have to agree. The love relationship between Yondu and Rocket was a little oddly placed.
But it was balanced well with Gamora and Nebula's story. So.
Oh, that's true.
Their love story.
I mean, who knew Rocket had a thing for fins? Well, I mean, just...
Hey, when Groot planted himself in Ego, it just... I'm glad that this was higher than... This was more than PG, right? This was...
That wasn't the planting, John. That was no root.
Well, I will round it out with saying that, yes, I highly enjoyed this movie, and I agree with Ben. It was a great continuation of the first one. The character arcs definitely continued down a good route, haha. As compared to the first movie, like they didn't all of a sudden take a left turn with the characters. A lot of action, a lot of comedy, and yeah. And that's all we're going to say with non-spoilers. So going forward, boys and girls, again, if you haven't seen the movie, stop listening now. Go see the movie and come back and listen. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then keep listening.
Right. Buckle your seatbelts and clench your butts.
So where to begin? Because there was a lot that happened in this movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Well, that opening scene. Well, okay, not opening. I guess the opening scene with old or young Kurt Russell. Who cares? But the opening scene with the space octopus, which I can't remember the name of, and
matter.
Dancing Groot. Yes, it doesn't matter. But oh my god, that was like the best opening in any movie ever. It was just amazing.
I mean, just the fact that they did all that action and completely centered around, Groot, baby Groot just dancing around to music and managing to stay out of trouble. It was
and dancing to Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra. I mean,
yep.
Yes, no, that was.
It was brilliant. It was just brilliant.
So right off the bat, I think you knew what you were getting into with that opening sequence. It was comedy almost worthy of the Deadpool movie, where there's all this craziness going on around him, but Groot just wants to dance.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was, and what the thing is even with that, even with the focus being very clearly centered around Groot for that whole scene, it wasn't as if the background was not rich. Like, there was plenty going on there. You could follow what, how the battle was unfolding, what with Drax, deciding the hide on the outside was too thick and to go cut it from the inside. And it was just, there was a lot to enjoy there. You know, it was not shallow.
Yeah, and when they let him when they finally did kill it, and he jumps out and going, "I killed it," and they all were like, "Yeah, sure, fine, you got it. Good job, 2 points." You know, they really made the characters work together as a family. As you know, I mean, it was nice to see the interactions and the things that they let go. It was family like, in the, you know, they'll let certain things go and other things they'd argue about. But yeah, the opening scene just like pegged everything and it literally gave us kind of a reintroduction to all the characters and all of their interactions with each other in like very few minutes.
That is a very salient breakdown of that scene. Well done, sir. I agree.
Well,
I guess I'll just head out. John's going to say everything a lot better than I can. So bye, guys.
That is not true
No,
at all. Come
but
on.
yeah, no, you're right. That was a great way to look at it. You know, they reintroduced you to the characters and their relationships through their fighting and through everything they were saying, without beating you over the head with, "Oh, remember how this is how they are." Yeah, it was a great way to do it, I think.
And did anybody catch the fact that Baby Groot stopped dancing as soon as
Yes.
Drax was looking at him again?
Yes, I thought that was a great nod.
You know what really pissed me off? The second time I saw this movie this weekend, the crowd did not get that. So I'm in the back of the theater laughing my ass off for the second time at that part of the thing. And no, everyone's just silent. Ugh. They should have been kicked out right then. I should have just gone up and down the aisles and forcibly removed every individual there.
I'm sure a lot of them got up during the first part of the credits too and left.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, they did.
That brings up an interesting point. How were the crowds when you went? Because when I went, it was Saturday morning. It was a 9:30 showing for the 3D, and it was me and just 3 other people, like 2 rows up. Now, this is in a Regal Cinema where they have like assigned seating and the big leather recliners. But yeah, and it was an early showing. It was 9:30. And when I came out of that, the line for the theater looked like it was going to pack the next showing.
I'm surprised that there were any on opening weekend that had that many available seats. I mean, I went to a Thursday night showing, and that was, of course, packed, and everyone was very jazzed out of their mind. I went to a Sunday morning, 10:30, but it was still packed, still full. Everyone was apparently still asleep from last night.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I went Saturday night, and that was packed. I think it's the important lesson here is no one gets up at 9:30 to see a movie on the Saturday.
Yeah, well, even the one I went to a 2:00 afternoon showing on a Sunday yesterday, and it was not packed. It was, I would say, about 2/3 to 3/4 full. There was plenty of options if you came in late to get a couple of seats, but it wasn't, jam packed. It wasn't, I didn't have to get there early to get seats. There wasn't a line at the door, but the very next showing was that, like, people lined up waiting to get in. So it does definitely seem to be a timing thing. People are not early risers.
Yeah. And just to add, there was an 8:30 showing in the IMAX theater, that at the same theater, that same morning. And I only when I got there, there were only like 6 or 7 cars in the parking lot. So they had showings, like they had as many showings as they could pack in, and this is a long movie because I went in at 8. It
was about 2:15.
Yeah, I was in at 9:00, and then the movie started at 9:30. Well, 9:45 considering all the previews, and then I didn't get out until 12:15.
The movie's 2 hours and 17 minutes, and then when you throw it pretty long,
yeah.
I wouldn't call that long. Is that long? Do we consider that long?
Well, for an action movie, usually it's long, except it's so well done you don't realize it's 2.5 hours.
Right. That's true. Yeah. It did feel short. It almost felt too short to me.
Right, and I think that was just a reflection of the quality because it didn't feel too long. It only felt too long at the point where I had to get up and use the boys' room.
You shouldn't let them supersize your drinks.
You're a quitter, man. I peed my pants. It was worth it.
Yeah. I'm just saying there were no lulls in that movie. There was no points where you could get up and safely take a bathroom break. without missing something.
Absolutely.
Well, you got to plan for that. You don't drink or eat anything for 12 hours before the movie.
Yeah,
Don't you know
I'm
that?
absolutely with John on that.
And despite there being no one at your 9:30 showing there on Saturday, John, the movie grossed domestically 146 million over the weekend, obviously taking the number one spot, and worldwide so far 431 million. So I would call that a hit.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay, so there were only 3 other people in the audience besides me, but they were laughing along, with the same pieces I was laughing at. So it wasn't like, I mean, yeah, the people going to this were going because they really wanted to see this movie. It wasn't just, what's playing?
No,
sure, we'll hit that one.
All right, so we had a great opening scene with them fighting a space octopus, for lack of a better term. We got reintroduced to the characters, and then, of course, they were taken to the High Priestess after they win the battle, and
right,
yes,
to receive payment and all that, and they get offended. And...
Yes.
Now,
payment,
I will say,
with the air quotes.
So here's the thing I want to say about the Sovereign is the trailers did a great job on a bait and switch on that one, because the trailer set up that essentially those gold skinned whack jobs were going to be the villain du jour in this movie, and we find in the course of the movie they definitely don't end up. I mean, they kind of start off like obviously there's the setup that you're sort of leading to, Dave, but they're really only a vehicle to the story of it, not so much the actual arch nemesis of the Guardians.
Right. No
installment.
Right. Exactly. I mean, they number one, the payment for it, they hand over Nebula. Obviously, she's back in this one. That's not a surprise because she was in all the previews and everything as well.
Yeah,
she had a very little part in this one, though.
Very important part.
She had an important part, though. It wasn't like big in screen time, but it was definitely pivotal, and there was character development around it. Not only plot development, but also character development around her role, and I thought that was more so than in the first one.
Absolutely. And she's ultimately going to be one of the most important characters in the MCU. You heard it. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm serious. I'm foreshadowing here. She's going to kill Thanos. You heard it here first.
It's a possibility.
Yes.
I think
believe she will
definitely
be the one to... Yes, she will be at least, if not the one to land the fatal blow. She will be an integral part of his downfall, because
that is a very long line, man. I mean,
I will see you in a couple years, and we will chat then.
Damn straight we will.
And at the same time,
unless I'm still not making enough money to feed myself, at which point I'll of course be dead by then. But in the off chance that I'm still around,
so we will chat then. We also find out in that scene that. Well, I guess she found it out before, but he made it obvious. Rocket decided to take some of their batteries that they were protecting. The
Harbulary batteries? Hey, thank you. Thanks for the giggle.
Yes, so, of course, setting up that the Sovereign would not be happy with them once they realized what they did.
Right.
And they're taking Nebula to
Galaga.
Was it Nova Corps? Who are they taking her to? I can't remember. Okay.
Yes,
it was Nova Corps. Yeah.
Yeah, to the whatever the home world is for the Nova Corps. Xandar, yes.
Come on, nerds.
It's in my head. It just didn't click. That word that means when something snaps together.
Maybe you were thinking of Zardu Hasselfrau, and that's what... I get those two confused sometimes, so I understand.
That makes perfect sense.
Nice.
By the way, I did love the Hasselhoff cameo in this. That was amazing.
Yes, it really was.
Well, there were a lot of cameos.
Hey, we didn't get to Hasselhoff yet.
Frank Parsky?
Well, that was like the greatest scene in the movie, and you just ruined it.
For whom? We all saw it.
So moving on then. So we're in this. Yeah, there is a little bit of hanky-panky or pre-hanky-panky going on between Star-Lord and the Sovereign, and
it's called flirtation.
Then Rocket does the one thing that starts off this entire plot line. In fact, he does the thing that is the plot line, which is he does the one thing that he can't. That we later find out he does because of basically his relationship and with other people and a backstory that we didn't know about and all this, for reasons that we will get into. He steals the batteries.
Well,
because they're there.
He has issues.
Yes. Well, more like, more like 3-ring binders, but
But of course the Sovereign chased them. There's a big wonderful space battle.
A Galaga style space battle.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't just Galaga. It was a throwback. If you listen to all the sounds, it sounded like, and it is only for us old people, so everybody under, 35? You're not going to understand this, I guess. Probably. But, back in the day, we had these things called arcades where it was the only place you could go to go play a video game because there were no video games at home. And you'd go and you walk in and the first thing you'd hear is just a cacophony of all these different machines trying to get your attention with all this sound and fury, usually signifying nothing. But okay, Macbeth aside, just the sound of the control room where they had all of these virtual pilots. It brought me back, and it was pretty cool. And they did a lot of those little things all throughout this movie where they shot in little pieces of 80s and early 90s nostalgia.
Which is amazing that it worked because I freaking hate that era and everything that came out of it, and yet somehow I still found gleeful nostalgia in it. Wow. So well done, James Gunn.
Are you saying you hate us?
Not out loud.
Well, just you guys. I'm from before that era. So,
yes. Speaking of being old and hating old things, real quick then, going back to the beginning of the movie, Star-Lord is using a device to track the space squid, and did everyone notice what that device was?
Oh,
it was a video game.
Yep.
I did when you sent me the pre-chat research.
Oh my God! For the people like me,
So
I actually owned one of those, and there were like a couple. There was a basketball, a football, and there was a baseball one too.
And there was a head-to-head version of the football one.
Yes, yeah, that was big time. They would, oh my God, they would be. There were a lot of commercials for that during like the Flintstones and the Jetsons and. Other things only I've seen, but
so it was a graphing calculator, right? That's what that was.
No.
That's about as far back as my mind can understand these weird handheld devices. Yes, exactly.
I'm taking it, Zach. You've never played Pong. So.
I've never played.
You are
Pong.
correct.
Don't even know. I played Pong. I had Pong.
Of course. Who didn't have Pong?
I never played Pong. I was too young.
Oh my God, Ben.
No, my parents just never had it. we went.
Originally that was the original video game.
I mean, it was 2600. That's where we started.
Yeah, and wait a minute, you're only a year younger than me, but so I don't know what this I'm too young stuff.
I'm much younger at heart.
Okay. So nostalgia aside, yes, it took old people back a day and made us all cry and laugh and be happy, and then they managed to tag Star-Lord ship and it crashed.
Yeah,
yes,
Alyssa Milano is broken.
But before that,
well, that's what it was named after. The ship is called Milano, and it's named after Alyssa Milano.
Mm-hmm. I totally forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Now here's something though. All right, so two things. A, we got our first shot of Ego. I think what was he?
I saw it as him riding his ship was essentially his eyeball.
Yeah, but he was riding.
Yeah,
he was
like going
in
cowboy,
space.
standing
He was
on top
standing
of
on
it
top
and
of
shooting
it.
at things. I mean, it's an avatar. It doesn't matter if
well,
that body gets hurt. It doesn't require air breathing.
I know, it was kind of funny. I know it's a reference to something else. I just can't remember what. But so we got our first shot of him. And then, of course, they do the thing that every sci-fi movie does these days is they take the iconic ship and they destroy it.
But it was a fun ride destroying it, though. I mean, yeah, they crash landed on that planet and ripped it apart. But the whole, like, Drax being dragged behind the thing and, like, enjoying every minute of it. Like, that was just too funny. And I did really enjoy the fact that their, like, spacesuits that they put on basically look like bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Yes. Now this is kind of one of my few points of contention in the movie. They crash land on the planet, and then, Ego shows up and says, "I'm your father" to Star-Lord, and they decide to go off with him without no hesitation. He's like, okay, some hesitation, but Gamora's like, oh, we should go with him since it's your father and you've been looking for your Hasselhoff your whole life.
I disagree. I mean, he, like you said, there was hesitation. He was hesitant to do so. Gamora talked him into it, which she's probably the only one who could, and she reassured him by saying if he's screwing with them, they'll just kill him, which is something that they're supremely capable of doing, so they probably weren't really in any danger. The contention I take with it is the group that went. I don't know why they would leave Rocket and Groot alone. They basically left Rocket alone with a baby and a villain. And they're like, this is probably going to work out just fine. I don't understand why Drax didn't just stay behind, or someone else. I don't know. But
it didn't fit the narrative they were going for. Although, to be fair, yes, that did make sense, but it made for awesome hijinks through the rest of the movie.
Oh, absolutely. I'm totally nitpicking. It doesn't really bother me, but yeah, I mean,
the only one that made sense to stay behind is Rocket, since he's the engineer.
Right, he was fixing the ship, which I loved how they were doing that. He was basically spray painting electronics back into place.
But it was nice to actually see Rocket on his own for a little bit.
Yes,
because that scene of all the booby traps and everything, you got to see Rocket actually, go, in his element and doing his thing, and you finally get to see how dangerous he can be on his own.
Not dangerous, creative.
But also, creatively
dangerous.
So,
all right, we moving along then, because we want to get through this, I guess.
So they introduced a lot of characters. They introduced a schism within the Ravagers, and
which we didn't know before.
And to talk through the Ravagers thing, I found it really interesting that, like, for one, the Ravagers is a lot bigger than just Yondu and his crew. And I didn't realize that, at least in this permutation of it, that was the canon they were setting up. And the fact that he was technically, while he was a captain of his crew of Ravagers, he and his crew were essentially disavowed from the Ravagers for having taken on Quill. And that made for an interesting story arc, because on one hand, like, you can easily think that he's an asshole for that. But on the other hand, like, everything else that he does shows a streak of having a heart. And then the mutiny sort of, like, helps cement that he's not such a bad guy, that there's good in him, and it really makes for an interesting, colorful, redemption arc for him, that obviously leads to, where it leads in the end, which we'll get to later.
But here's one of those little continuity things that
you're sticking with that pronunciation of continuity.
Pronunciation of anything.
Yes. No, you can't. Dave is the one who mispronounces names. I mispronounce standard words.
I mean, iteration after iteration of this podcast, we've attempted to correct his pronunciation of things, and it just.
Thank you.
I apologize. You can go ahead and pro-cat then.
No. What the?
Look,
sometimes
isn't that how you say that word?
Sometimes I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, okay? Hey, it could be worse. I could be verbally dyslexic and words my switch, so...
Or be committing spoonerism.
I would contend that that'd be better, but go ahead anyway.
God, what the hell was I talking about? No, right. So the whole relationship, the whole father-son dynamic between Yondu and Quill, really, you really didn't. I don't think that was in the first Guardians. There was no hint of it there.
I disagree.
So
I think first of all, I think one of the strong hints of that was the fact that in the end, when there was a switcheroo and he had the troll doll in that little orb, the fact that he laughed about it and didn't think for a moment to go back after him is
yeah, and that was a two-way street, because when Peter did it and Gamora said something, he said, yeah, but he's the only family I got. And we're talking about the last scene of the first one still. So, yeah, I mean, both ways. They both felt the connection that was just played out here.
Okay, well, I sit corrected, and I'll take a swig.
Drink.
Make it 2 or 3.
So the point is, maybe you should have paid a little closer attention in the first one.
Yes. I think it should have been required viewing before we went out and watched this movie, John. So.
This is true. I do regret that decision.
If for no other reason,
I should have
to see the dance battle, because all movies are better when there are dance battles.
That is true.
That's okay. I saw a dance battle at New York Comic Con, and I'm hoping to catch one the next New York Comic Con. So
okay, so. Long story short, they go back to Ego's planet, and you find out, that's when you find out Ego's a celestial.
Right. And he is a planet.
Right, he is a planet. He's essentially a god, small g, as he points out. And Peter obviously is his son and has some of his powers, which I actually thought was a nice tie-in to explain why he could hold the stone in the last one and not die.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like the fact that Kurt Russell played Ego playing Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Well, he had to base it off some human.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who better to pick?
I know, and he picked Kurt Russell a la Big Trouble in Little China, which was pretty cool.
So I was confused on a couple things with Kurt Russell's character. Now that we're talking about him,
when a man and a woman love each other very much.
No.
When a planet and a woman love each other very much.
And note that he did have a penis, and we know
that.
That
was very well established.
Yes, it was, because otherwise we would have come out of that with so many questions.
Yes.
Very pointedly established by Kurt Russell himself.
We don't have verification that was
pointed. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering if the term "pointed" was intentional.
Oh God. Yes.
So it's more blunted.
Yes. He had. Well, hold on. Here's the thing. He asked him if he had a penis, and we established that. But then we're also saying that that's how all life reproduces on all these planets.
I chalk that up to a translation issue. Like I think it's less of all sentient beings have similar sexual anatomy, and more that whatever sexual anatomy is in English translates to penis.
All right.
Yes.
Good.
Agreed.
No, but I was wondering, like, when he did visit these other planets to plant his seed on the planet, and plant his seed in a female.
Right.
What was it? The same body every time?
Yeah,
So it was Kurt Russell playing Ego, playing Kurt Russell playing Captain Kirk.
Yeah, but I think that's a valid question, and I think in like his shiny dioramas, they kind of showed it as the same body that he exhibited, but it very well could have been altered in ways to fit the local fauna, so to speak.
The local fauna.
I mean fit, figuratively and literally fit.
Wait a minute, are you saying he had an adapter?
Adaptable penis, yes.
No, an adapter. You know, you have to buy the set. It's an adapter from like Radio Shack before you go to Europe.
It's like a glade and has many accessories. You got to be careful; it could come off.
Okay, so all that aside, they nailed Ego's personality with that scene because he's a planet. He's a celestial. He doesn't understand.
Ego is doing the nailing.
All the yeah.
I knew that was coming.
So, but no, they got it because in that one statement where he looks back over at Drax and says, "Why, yes, I have a penis." It's the entire personality of Ego. He doesn't think about these things in the terms that we do. And, and later on we find out he doesn't think of us. He basically thinks of us as like microbes that are just to be toyed with and not in the way of, not being mean or evil. He wasn't evil. He was a higher life form, and he's been alive for millions of years, so he'd like blink and, we'd be gone. So he doesn't really consider us much of anything. And they got, I can't use the word nail anymore. They got that part of his personality completely right.
Would you say they hit it right on the head?
Yeah, it was straight up a great, never mind. I can't do it. So yeah, but I mean, did you get that feeling? Like, Zach, what'd you think? I mean, it's just it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think Ego's character, well, and to an extent too. I mean, he's aptly named because his purpose was to have his being spread across the entire universe. So yes, you're right. He isn't like inherently evil in that regard, but he is driven by his ego, and therefore he thinks his only purpose is to, the highest purpose is to spread himself across the universe.
Well, and his loneliness too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was lonely. His whole thing was, I can't find anybody else that is like me.
It's the ultimate rationalization. I mean, don't we all have this sort of seed in us that we feel that our goal is to, if we can't be here forever, to leave something behind. And I think that's something that we all feel, and that's echoed in his life goal.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't that that he was looking to leave something behind because he was forever. Yeah. No, he wasn't even. He didn't need to avoid it. He was going to live forever. He was looking for somebing to share.
But I'm saying it's all rooted in the same mix of desires. Like whether you accept your own mortality, you feel that you want to leave something behind and you want to share your life with someone in the meantime. Those are goals, primal goals that drive all of us.
Yes.
And when we got onto the topic of Ego, when you brought him up, Dave, you suggested that you may have had a bone to pick with him. And that is not just a pun. I am curious about what your problem with him was.
It was his bone.
I thought we already covered that.
Was that it? Was that legitimately the issue you had? His penis?
I was just...
I think we're ready.
The main thing was I was just concerned that he went off with them and they left some of the crew behind. But, I mean, it was one of those things where, like, they had to do it, obviously, to move the story forward. I kind of think, and I understand, like, his planet was on the outskirts of the galaxy, of the known galaxy, so that's why this wouldn't work logically, but it would have made more sense if the jump ended up making them crash land on his planet,
I guess so, but, we do find out that, I mean, not via the movie, but as the proto-nerds that we are, that planet that they did land on does have canon in the Marvel universe. So
everything had canon. There were
especially
so
the
many
Ravagers. The
so many
Ravagers
references in this.
And Ego's packing a cannon as well.
Plus 5 to Gryffindor over there.
I mean, I guess what this really comes down to is Ego's downfall is that he thought with his penis.
Yeah. Really, it should be called id.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so like moving on, like because we still have more to get through.
So-
and it's, yeah. Wait, all right.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to talk. We sort of talked around this a little bit, but I wanted to sort of address, I thought there was great forward character movement with every single pre-existing character in this. You know, you saw obviously development with Star-Lord, with, you know, his finding his father and all that, but, you know, Gamora had some growth, both in just her own accepting of her place in things and her development of her relationship with her sister. You saw it with Rocket, you know, accepting that, you know, even when he does these bad things, it's not going to scare away his friends, that they are his family. You know, I mean, Drax, I guess, had limited growth, but he sort of.
I would even contend he had growth.
I'm not saying
I really
he didn't,
would say
but I'm saying that he was more.
he had as
relief
much growth as
than-
Drax could have.
He was more comic relief than he was, character growth. But also with, again, and I think I said this before in the pre-spoiler part, but I think all of the new characters they introduced had great establishment and growth as well. Like Mantis was a really interesting new character they added. Even the Sovereign, Aisha, you know, had depth to her and interest. And so I think they did a really good job at a lot of those things. And by the way, what I saw as an Easter egg that I didn't see anyone else point out in any of these things, but so there was the scenes where Ego's doing his planet takeover thing, you know, with the blue oozy stuff spreading all over Earth and various other planets, right? So in one of those scenes, when that's happening, like when they're fighting, when he's fighting with Peter Quill to gain control of it, and Peter stops it. There's this one scene where it's happening on Earth where it's growing and then it stops, and there's this blue like SUV that's being pushed by it that stops at the edge of it. And sitting in the driver's seat is the guy who I'm assuming was Peter Quill's uncle in the beginning of the first movie. Yeah.
Oh,
Seriously?
Okay. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I thought they lingered on that for a moment, but I couldn't figure out what it was that they were trying to suggest. But that's interesting. I got to watch it again. Thank you for giving me an excuse to do that.
Well, they also had James Gunn's parents, I think, in one of those scenes in front of the ooze.
Okay. That's possible, but I don't know.
So
I don't know if James Gunn's parents
there is
recognized.
No,
so.
I'm pretty sure that, because I heard a couple of sites call that out. There are Easter eggs all over this. I mean, there are more Easter eggs than regular Easter in this movie.
Oh, by the way, the actor's name is Greg Henry, and he's Grandpa Quill. He's Peter's grandfather.
Okay. Talking about Mantis and the interaction between Mantis and Drax,
yes.
Right? So I thought that was pretty funny that he was letting her down easy by telling her she was ugly.
Yeah, I did really enjoy that. But
there was one scene between them that was absolutely perfect, and that was when Drax is sitting there very, kind of with a kind of a smile on his face, reminiscing about his daughter, and she touches him to find out what he's feeling, and she just starts weeping.
Yes, that was the point in the film when I started weeping, and I did not stop until the end of the credits.
Yeah, you don't find many scenes like that in many movies. That really got you. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. And Batista did a much. He did a really good job in this movie. I mean, the first one he was Batista playing Drax playing Batista, but in this one he seems to have upped his game.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I didn't have any problems with him in the first movie, but he had more depth in this movie, certainly.
Although I did like,
yes,
and this is just testament to James Gunn always putting humor first. Is like in that scene in the end with the funeral where there's the explosions all through the sky, and Drax makes a comment to Mantis, basically telling her that, saying how beautiful was it, how she's beautiful too, and then has to tack on the end on the inside.
And it was so utterly flawless. Like, the comedic timing was just picture perfect. And, I mean, I wouldn't even say that Gunn was putting humor first. It was almost like a lifeline because we had had so much sadness for like 25 straight minutes. Yeah. And that instant, and that just uproariously funny moment just changed my streaming tears of pain and despair to tears of joy and laughter. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just
so.
But before we go to that, though, or Dave, if you want to say something about next, I want to go back to the interaction between Quill and Ego. Before we get to the funeral at the end.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, well, okay. So, another perfect scene in this movie, and it's fun to know that there were two perfect scenes as far as I'm concerned in this movie, and that's when. You normally have the interaction with the bad guy and the good guy, and the bad guy says something that makes the good guy finally know that he's the bad guy, and usually the good guy goes, but why? And then you get the exposition of, well, because this, that, the other thing. So Peter Quill's there, he's under Ego's thrall, and Ego says, well, that's why I had to it really killed me to put the tumor in her brain. And Quill just snaps right out of it, goes, you killed my mom, and at that point, it's just guns everywhere. I mean, it just, and that reaction is, it was, I'm used to seeing very scripted reactions that you wouldn't normally see in real life. But that was the reaction you would get from a normal person who was just told, hey, I killed your mom. It's like, really? Okay, here are my guns. And, you just wipe them out.
Yeah, and that's just a microcosm of all of the perfect emotion in the movie. I mean, the whole way through, it's just like that. Every reaction, every decision, every rationale is all that. It's just perfect. 82, kiss my ass, Rotten Tomatoes, unbelievable. Anyways, continue.
No, that's very true.
And though I agree with that was the perfect emotional reaction to finding out that your estranged father is the one who also killed your mother. Didn't we get a reaction like that in a movie last year when somebody found out who killed his mom and he went berserk and just started fighting his best friend?
Yeah.
Tony Stark?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Tony Stank?
Tony Stank.
Yes.
And in Civil War. So, I mean, it was...
Yeah, but it
was an interesting callback, I thought, to that.
I mean, at the same time. Loud noises.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I said it's an.
I love Limp. Let's move on.
It's a satellite link up. What are you going to do? No. I mean, okay. For that, matricide though, there were mitigating factors. I mean, Tony Stark was smart enough and thought fast enough to know that, hey, the Winter Soldier was under, he was literally put under. He was being mind controlled. It wasn't what he did on his own. But this was, right. There's no excuse. Choice. You killed my mom on purpose. You're about to die.
Yes.
Yep.
You killed my mother, prepared to die.
All right. Yes. So I guess because we're, we'll go a little long, but we're getting close to an hour already, and we haven't talked about Yondu and his relationship with Peter, which they kind of hit us over the head with a sledgehammer in this one to bring a point home, and two.
No, disagree.
I don't think it was sledgehammer.
Well, I'm just saying, like.
And if you can balance a attack hammer on your head, you can head into battle with a balance attack.
What I'm saying is, I felt like they stated, by the time he stated what was going on, I felt it was obvious to me at that point. And then, of course, his relationship with Rocket, I think, was very important to this movie.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that, and yet I thought it was really great. I thought that was really interesting, and that was a really smart way to draw Rocket out.
It developed naturally just because Yondu saw himself in Rocket. Like, essentially Rocket was
Right.
acting the way he has acted a lot of his life, so it was very easy to recognize the motivations behind it and see past that surface layer.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
But,
and talk to Rocket, like, before you go down the path that I did, look at what you're doing, and you don't need to steal batteries and push people away.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you, Dave, specifically had an issue with Peter and Yondu's relationship. What was it there that you thought was
I didn't have
overdone?
Okay, maybe I said it wrong. I didn't have an issue with the relationship. I thought it was obvious. They even said it in the first movie.
They hit on it like a taser in the face.
Yes.
It's metaphorical!
Raised him since he was 10 years old. We found out why he picked him up and raised him. It wasn't just a random kidnapping.
Right,
but
nor was it the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as continuity goes,
It's even hard to
I
say
thought it was pretty seamless.
Right.
Yep.
But by the time he tells Peter at the end, well, the reason that I kept you around wasn't because you were small. That's just what I told you. It was obvious, like, no, you cared for this kid and you didn't want to turn him over to his quote unquote father who was going to kill him.
Right.
Right. But Peter didn't really grasp that yet. So in that moment, I didn't really feel like it was exposition so much. It was him just sharing that moment of enlightenment with Peter.
Well, I think it was important to have that moment because I don't think Peter realized it. Like, I think that it was one of those things that Peter felt that he looked at Yondu that way, but he didn't have any confirmation that it was reciprocal until Yondu pretty much told him outright.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
So,
and then when he said,
usually good with obvious.
At the end,
like, it has to be super obvious for him to pick up on it.
Yeah. Speaking of relationships and immediate death, Gamora and her sister,
Nebula.
it's just fun. It was just fun to see. Oh, there's my sister. Kill, die.
Well, but that said, it was well developed. Like, they really did a good job establishing why Nebula still harbors so much rage towards her sister. That it was because of the torturous youth that she went through. That she was directing her rage at what what's his nose Thanos was doing to her. Like, basically every time she failed, taking her back and replacing something with technology, and probably not doing it in a painless procedure, when all she really wanted out of her sister was sisterhood, and felt like, and it was easy to misplace that rage at her sister, as if it was her sister's fault that they couldn't have a different relationship, when really it was Thanos who was driving all of them to behave the way they did.
Yeah, and that's a good point because it touches on the James Gunn's deep and profound understanding of psychology and motivational factors for each and every one of these individual characters. It's spot on, textbook psychology, and I shouldn't even say textbook as if it's Psych 101. I mean, it's deep stuff. It's really remarkable how right he is at how all of these characters, their motivations are just so raw and real and just perfect, which brings me again, can someone please help me understand? I didn't read any reviews because I saw the number 82 and was like, what the hell is that? What were the complaints about this movie that it could get dropped down to an 82?
I don't know. I didn't read them either, and I don't really know that I need to, because in my mind they're not right. They're just not right.
It was.
Yep.
I think
Agreed.
The biggest complaint was no one's mother was named Martha or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it matters. And you know what? It's really hard for science fiction. Yeah, you'd think by now they'd realize the Marvel movies, they're literally unstoppable. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the bellwethers of the entire DC or Marvel universe at this point.
It really is, which is remarkable. I mean, they were so obscure, and when they came onto the scene, it was almost like an experimental "will this work" type of thing. And now they truly are they're like the shining golden city on the mountain. They're now my favorite franchise, which they weren't going into this film, and they absolutely are now.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
They saw the Spanish Inquisition coming before they saw this. It's just
Well, I mean, I guess if we want to dig into the criticism, here's just as an example on Rotten Tomato. Here's one, top critic for the New Yorker, Sir Anthony Lane, who gave it a
Sir Anthony Lame,
who gave it a bad rating, and basically his criticism was, quote, "Let's hope that Volume 3 recaptures the fizz of the original instead of slumping into the most expensive group therapy session in the universe."
Now,
okay, well, that's a guy who either is completely detached from his emotions or never had any problems as a kid.
Real quick.
So
now, if you go down the page a little bit, John Wenzel from the Denver Post writes, "Here's hoping that the inevitable Volume 3 rebuilds some of the first film's heart, because Volume 2 feels like a hollow spectacle, however gorgeously rendered." So one guy didn't like it because he thought it was too much delving into the character's emotions, and this guy didn't like it because he felt like there wasn't enough emotion in it, and it was too much spectacle and over-the-top stuff. How could they both be right?
So we can reasonably conclude that they're both complete morons. Anyways,
that's all we need
so
to say.
You can put the two of them together and get a real human being. That's basically it.
There you go.
But not one that I would like.
So what? Yeah. So what? Well, have we? Let's see. Have we missed anything we talked about? Wait. There was one thing. We did jump a shark at one point in this movie.
Okay.
And the thing that jumped the shark was a Pac-Man.
Oh, I thought that was awesome, though. That was brilliant.
Yes, it totally was.
As awesome as it was, there was a small little shark-shaped rock underneath the Pac-Man.
I just thought it was great that they went like you expected because you saw they sort of showed Ego forming this rock body around him, and you expected that Peter would do the same, and to have him do something completely Peter Quill-like instead was brilliant and perfect in that moment.
Oh, I'm just making fun of it. It was cool.
And John, it also shows you weren't paying attention during the movie, because it was a callback to him earlier saying, "I can build whatever I want with this power."
No, I know.
And he goes, he starts naming
like a giant Pac-Man statue.
Right. So he said, and he's like, "I'm going to build some messed up shit." So you knew something like this was coming.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, because it's Quill, he didn't think it through, and he didn't make a power pellet right in front of him before he started to get to his father.
Correct.
Right. It's funny because on one hand, it shouldn't have mattered if he did that, but on the other, it's all about thought and will anyway, so it could have made a difference.
Right. Yeah, the power of will.
Is true.
Just like the Green Lantern.
What else? Yeah, well, no, just no.
I think this is a much better version
what else?
Green Lantern powers. I'd love to.
Okay.
Wait. You can't say that this was a better movie than Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
No, look, I would never cross that line.
That's
I would
just
never
crazy.
cross that line.
Yes. Okay.
I'm just saying
good.
that if they turned this into a celestial core and we saw awesome rock battles all the time, that would be I would pay to see that, even if there was no plot.
Hey, Zach.
Yep.
Zach.
Yes.
You like being on the show?
No.
Good answer. Good answer.
Even Ryan Reynolds will make fun of that. So, okay. Right, space battle, whatever, and now depression time. They took out Yondu.
Yeah.
That was hard. That was
and really,
it's selfless.
Aside from Groot in the first one, who came back, obviously, like there haven't really been any significant hero deaths in the MCU. No one's really
Yeah.
died permanently.
Right.
And he wasn't just a throwaway character.
He was
either.
a well-developed.
No. And it's
the closest thing we got was Quicksilver, and he was kind of not that big of a loss. So
right.
Zach?
No, not so much. No, I totally agree. It was, and not just because I have daddy issues, but it was like the most beautiful fucking scene in the MCU. I mean, I was just a frickin' puddle when he said he might have been your daddy, or he might have been your father, but he ain't your daddy. That was just, it was, I just melted. It was remarkable.
And then the Ravagers coming to join the funeral.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah! And truly, like in actual beauty, like the rainbow colored fire and the fireworks. Like there was something about that entire sequence that was just like breathtaking through and through.
They went through all the captains honoring him. I mean, they literally focused on each one of the captains as they were going. Yes, until the next and whatever, and just. Which brought up some. I mean, I'm sitting there like I shed a tear or two, but at the same time, my geek brain is thinking, I don't get these Ravagers. They're like thieves and scoundrels, and one Ravager just spaced half of his crew. But they can do this too. They can do this much. They can have this much beauty in their lives. I don't understand what's the code. I have a couple
points on that, John. First of all. If you drank less brandy, you would have shed more than 2 tears. Hydration is important. But also, so the Ravagers, you have to sort of. So I think they established subtly, at least, that the Ravagers, as they were under Yondu, and the Ravagers as a whole, were not synonymous. Like Yondu brought the worst of the worst around him. He had some really low life. Guys around him, guys who were power hungry and ended up mutinying against him and were not bright, clearly, and were willing to space, anyone loyal to Yondu, to clean house. But I don't think that's emblematic of the rest of the Ravagers. The rest of the Ravagers, there is a code of honor amongst them. Yes, they are technically thieves and scavengers, but there is an honor code amongst them, and Yondu broke it a long time ago, which is why he was ostracized by them, and which is why what he was left with was the wretched refuse of scoundrels that he surrounded himself with, because they didn't care.
Yeah, but that was also hard because the secondary character, the guy, was Sean Gunn?
Sean Gunn.
He played Graglin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He that one part where he said, "Well, he killed because Laserface. He killed all my friends." And just that scene of all of them spacing that one guy and having him float out, and then seeing behind him all these other guys.
Yeah, the guy with the inexplicable accent.
Yeah. But it just. I don't know. The way this movie was written and the way it was directed is just incredible.
Well, I mean, he did create Gilmore Girls. He knows how to write character development. Yeah.
Is that true?
He was the showrunner on Gilmore Girls for years. That's why Sean Gunn was in that as well.
I've never even seen Gilmore Girls, but
which is how we also know that we definitely are going to have to see Melissa McCarthy in some upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yes.
That
God, that
would be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah. And Sean Gunn was in Gilmore Girls.
Yes, he was. He was the sushi.
Oh yeah.
Is Gilmore Girls like a good show?
Yeah. I
don't feel bad admitting that it was a pretty damn good show. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the first couple seasons and sort of fell off on it. But it was.
I've never seen it, so I just kind of assumed it was. I'll check it out.
Show, but it's solid. Like, it's good drama. Like, it's.
I think we've already established I'm fine with chick stuff. I cried this entire movie. So, yes, I will go watch Gilmore Girls with a box of tissues and a glass of red wine and just cry my eyes out.
It just the writing is amazing because the dialogue is some of the best dialogue you will find on any TV show or movie. And that actually translates to, part of this movie. That the dialogue was such that it was entertaining, it was engaging, and it did wonders for character development. It was great. My God, I'm not really bashing this movie, am I? Oh my gosh.
No, you're not. 1 second. Jody, we're watching Gilmore Girls tonight. We're binging. Okay, sorry, just had to make an aside there. All right, anyways, continue.
Okay. Well, where are we at now? We've gotten to the end, and
I think. Listen, we could easily spend another hour talking about bits and pieces of this movie. I think we've expressed enough of the ups and downs of this movie. Mostly ups, that I think, unless Dave disagrees, maybe we move into our rating time.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Anybody got anything else to say, Zach?
No. Like Ben said, I could go on forever.
I will say that I was glad, but also disappointed that we had a secret Michael Rosenbach, and I wish I could recognize him, but because I think we definitely...
Is that Martin X?
So...
Okay.
I would like to see, because honestly, I liked him as Lex Luthor. I would like to see more of him in things.
Well, that's the question: are they going to have that version of the Guardians show up somewhere down the road?
Yeah, so that is one thing we should touch on quickly, because I can't figure out if that's just a one-off, but it's Sylvester Stallone, which leads me to believe that there's no way in hell he's not coming back, because he has to insert himself in everything. So I really hope there's no future Guardians that evolves around his storyline. That won't happen, right? Somebody reassure me. Talk me down!
We will definitely get some more of these characters. I cannot see how they would not have these characters. Whether it's in Volume 3 or whether it's in some other expansion of the cosmic universe, these guys will be back in some form.
Yeah. All right. Just quickly, though, you got to go over a few things. You have to look at the Ravagers. You have to look at everybody in this movie when you go see it, because you've got people like Michelle Yeoh in it. Seth Green there was a Howard the Duck cameo. Jeff Goldblum is in this. David Hasselhoff,
he's only in the
of course.
credits, though.
Yes.
What? Jeff Goldblum? Oh, yeah.
Dancing in the credits, and that's it.
But still, I mean, Rob Zombie is credited as unseen Ravager.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. Sierra Love.
She was Mainframe.
I don't even remember that. What was the mainframe?
The little talking computer at the end with the Ravagers, the original Guardians crew. She's Mainframe.
Yeah.
That's her voice. Yeah,
you have to go see. There's a lot of characters in here, and I can't even.
Now I have to go see.
But and there's one thing we didn't talk about that we really need to mention, at least before we do the ratings.
Maybe I was going to mention it.
Stanley is an informant for the Watchers.
He is a Watcher. He is a Watu.
I know, but see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is he indeed an actual Watcher, or is he?
I don't think we'll ever get solid confirmation on that, or at least not for a while. And the reason why is because I'm fairly certain the legal rights around Watu the Watcher are tied up in some other set of properties, possibly with the Fantastic Four at Fox. So
I think you're right. I think you're actually right about that. Yes,
for that reason alone, they're not going to come out and say, "Oh, he's Watu the Watcher," but they can be coy about it and show him in the scenes that they showed him in, talking to a group of aliens that look like Watchers, and suggest that he's been, playing all these different parts across these different continuities as if it was all one guy, which would all add up to no other conclusion, but without saying it outright, they're not necessarily putting themselves into legal hot water.
Right. And
Fox continues to ruin civilization.
It's their role.
That's a great point. Two things then. Number one, IMDb has Stanley credited as astronaut. So I don't know if that's an IMDb thing or it's that they can't legally do it.
Both.
But number two, I wonder if it's the fans that, the big fan theory that he was a Watcher, which would explain all of his cameos. I wonder if that is what got them to write him as this, or if that had been a plan all along, or if they came up with it first. But I get the feeling it was the fans that did
I'm
this.
sure that was a nod to the fans. That wasn't a plan from the beginning. They just, always had him as a cameo, and then they read all the fan theories. I was like, oh, that sounds like a fun idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Does that mean Shyamalan is a watcher too?
No. All right. So I think we're going to go around the room, and everyone will give a final thoughts on the movie and a rating for 1 through 10 capes. And John, you'll go last because you talked a lot. Let's start
with the last 15 minutes.
Ben.
Okay. So, I think I've made it pretty clear that I was a huge fan of this movie. Definitely enjoyed it a lot, and I really have a hard time finding even a single minor blemish in the makeup of this movie. And to be fair, I was a huge fan of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. This is the kind of superhero movie I enjoy. It's fun. It has the dynamics of a Star Wars movie with the humor of an Indiana Jones movie and lots of references and fun, and it's probably the closest thing I'll get in my lifetime to Dresden-esque humor on screen. So with a lot the heavy pop culture references in situations where people don't understand them. So with all that, I am the audience that these movies are directed to, and I am glad for them to be. And I would normally, I think, give this. I think I would, under all other circumstances, I might give this a 9.5 capes. But there's one thing that this movie had that I have to point out, and that is that it featured in a very small role as part of the Sovereign. Damn it, I had it up here a second ago. John Crichton himself, painted gold.
Yeah. I told you, Ben.
And that gave it an extra half cape. And this is a 10 cape movie.
Oh my god! This is the first 10 cape movie ever for any of us.
So that's my rating.
I don't know if there's any fanfare. Wait, hold on.
Hodor.
Oh god, no, wrong.
Okay.
It didn't work.
Worked for me. All right, Zach. Your turn.
Okay. Well, first, I should apologize. In the discussion of this movie, I dropped a couple F-bombs, but that is because I feel so strongly about it. Yeah, I am not going to beat around the bush. I will say it. Yes. I'm so fucking sorry, man.
Oh,
I'm fucking ashamed of myself.
And there's half our audience now. Okay.
Anyways, I apologize. So, it's because I feel just really strongly about this movie. I was so impressed. I absolutely give it a 10. I would give it 10,000. Just give me a sideways 8. It gets infinite capes. It was a perfect movie. I don't care. Like, I know people will say whatever, you're a dweeb, it's a comic book movie, but honestly, I mean, it just had literally everything for me. It had so much humor, it had so much emotion, everything was just seamless and flawless. And I mean, I was shocked when we started this conversation that it was 2 hours and 15 minutes because it felt like it was by in an instant, and it wasn't because it just felt like it wasn't full enough. It's just because every single second of the movie meant something and mattered. It was just phenomenal. It hands down, in my opinion, the best MCU movie, and I will be shocked if there's one better at any point. It was truly phenomenal. Thank you, James Gunn.
Do you know how many times you're going to die according to the Incredibles logic with infinite capes?
He's dead already.
Yes, man. I haven't eaten in weeks. It's a matter of minutes.
Okay, for those of you listening, send donations of ramen noodles to Zach, care of Superhero Speak. Or
beef flavor. The chicken is disgusting.
Oriental's always good.
What does that even mean, though? Is that a flavor?
Use your imagination.
All right, John. And how many Oriental ramen noodles do you give this movie?
Well, I'm pretty stocked up already. Well, first off, I want to say that I look forward to Guardians 3, where we get to find out whose toe that was.
Oh, my God. I mean, that was a pregnant scene right there. Like, there's so many questions left unanswered.
Yeah, you have to see the movie, people, if you're going to understand the toe reference, and trust me, it's worth it.
Oh, yes, it is.
But, okay, so I got to say the one thing, there is only one chance that you get to capture the magic of a movie that takes you by surprise. And that's what Guardians 1 did. Because everybody was like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, you've got all these superheroes. Why are you picking them? And out of the blue comes this gem of a movie that, the soundtrack was awesome. The characters are awesome. You couldn't have done better. And then you get the sequel and everybody's like, oh, well, it's a sequel. So, and the sequels are, whatever. And, you get, again, Gunn did it again. It's just, I'm going to give this 10 capes.
Wow.
Because I cannot imagine the alignment of the stars needed to get not only an excellent first movie, but to get a second movie that's better and still, clings on to that magic that you get when you first see a movie that is awesome, but a sequel. So, yeah, and between that and Baby Groot, I mean, come on, Baby Groot's worth at least a cape himself. I mean,
he's worth 9 capes. They didn't really have to do much to get to 10, but they did all they needed to do.
You know that at Wizard World and New York Comic Con and whatever cons are around here, like they're going to have entire aisles full of Baby Groot paraphernalia, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just waiting for the first genetically engineered actual Baby Groot because I will pay $10 billion for that.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So real quick, before I give my final thoughts and my review, as we always try to promote.
They're coming to take you away, aren't they, Dave?
No, that's
haha, they're coming to take you away.
This is, as we always try to promote on this show, or we do a bad job at it, but it's really the heart of the show. This is a conversation. It's not just what we think. So, of course, we put out a Twitter poll today, or yesterday, ended today, to find out what people thought of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I gave, the question was, what did you think of Guardians Volume 2? I gave 4 possible answers. Number 1 is the best Marvel movie yet. Number 2 was it was good, not the best. Number 3 was it was terrible. And the last one was what's Guardians of the Galaxy? So
those people we kick off the Twitter feed, right? That's to weed out the undesirables.
Of all the responses that we got, the number 1 response was it was good, not the best. That was at 62%. Coming in not a strong second. Coming in at second, 23% is it was the best Marvel movie yet. 12% said, what's Guardians of the Galaxy?
Thanks,
and
Mom.
3% said it was terrible. So there are people out there that did not like it.
Who need to be eradicated. I mean, who did not like it. Glad we're on the same page there.
For you those that scored that, you won't be sent a Baby Groot, you'll be sent a Baby Rocket.
Or that space octopus.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And some Harbulary batteries.
Those little lizard things that'll look at you funny.
And a toe.
Yes.
Just a toe.
But whose toe? That's the question. So my final thoughts on the movie, I thought it was good. It was the second Vin Diesel movie this summer that was all about family. That's an important thing, boys and girls. Remember, Vin Diesel thinks family's the number one thing. No, it was good. I mean, the humor was spot on. The characters developed past the first movie. It wasn't they weren't stagnant. There was enough action to keep people happy, enough craziness, and an unspoken thing between Gamora and Quill.
Well, it was as unspoken as it was allowed to be. I mean, Mantis sort of revealed a little bit of it.
But, they're just like Jack and Diane from Cheers. I mean, I think that's the most important lesson, boys and girls.
You mean Sam and Diane?
Oh, yeah, Jack and Diane is a...
Jack and Diane is from a Little Ditty.
Yeah, it's from a Jock Cougar Mellencamp song. Yeah, Sam and Diane. Sorry about that.
Speaking of which, we didn't even talk about the John Cougar Mellencamp cameo in this movie. It was really...
That's
surprising.
Let's keep dating our references.
No, I'm married. I can't date anymore.
Playing a little bit of
references and dad jokes. Complete.
So anyway,
there it is.
With that said, yes, this movie had a David Hasselhoff cameo. It had. That's another thing, boys and girls. There's 5 after credit scenes. We didn't talk about that. But you need to stay through all the credits.
I will say, actually,
one.
That was brilliant because it made it easier to sit through all the credits. Because usually it's you get that one stinger after like the visual credits, and then you have to sit through like thousands of names for like a good 5 minutes before you get that second end credit. And this, they broke it up throughout in these little fits and spurts, which made it so much more palatable.
And even without that, like even between the stinger scenes, they had like the credits themselves were dynamic and had stuff going on and kept you engaged.
Converted exactly credits.
Exactly. And then the last song before the end of the credits, the one that pays homage to Zardu Hasselfrau. Yeah. Oh, just
so even though we had Baby Groot, we answered that yes, Stan Lee is a watcher. We had like I said, the David Hasselhoff cameo. We had we finally answered the question what a teenage Groot is like. Even with all of this greatness, and again, I really enjoyed the movie. I can only give it 9 capes.
Oh,
because I'm hoping beyond hope to reserve a 10 cape rating for a movie that comes out in July.
Maybe. I'm hoping you're right, but I can let them live on equal footing. So.
I don't know. We'll see.
So, I mean, I do. You mentioned the end credit scenes there, Dave, and the one of them I think was kind of key in that they seem to be introducing Adam Warlock via the Sovereign, but I think we all know what the real downfall of the Sovereign is going to be if they ever try to come back into this. They have a fashion style choice that really is not going to work for them.
No, this is true. This is probably why they use remote control ships, because those things tend to get caught in places.
That's true.
Yes. So
you're reaching so hard right now.
This is what I live for.
Yes. When you're not here, Ben, I just say the phrase, but then now when you have to set it up, at least we know you're driving John crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I mean, it's great to have him back.
So on that note, boys and girls, as always, don't let your kid get caught in the door.
Are you strong enough to stop a stupid movie rumor?
Are you more powerful than a bad comic book event?
Are you able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have got absolutely nothing better to do?
Then join the conversation by connecting with us on Facebook, Twitter, Slack, and other social media platforms.
And help us get our capes from getting stuck in the door by becoming an official Patreon patron.
And if you just want more content from us, don't forget to check out our website where we post way more than we can discuss here.
So what are you waiting for? When you join our fight, everyone wins.